So here we have a problem relating to inheritance. Here we have the tree class. Every tree has a name, and every tree has a method which will allow us to get the name. Okay, so this is the tree class. An apple tree extends the tree class. An apple tree also stores an array list of apple objects. So what this means is, an apple tree, because it is a tree, it will have a name. That's fine, the apple tree will have a name, but it will also store an array list of apple objects. It has an additional method, public int count medium, which returns a count of all medium-sized apple objects in the list. And it has another method, public void replace small with medium, which replaces any small apples in the list with medium apples. Write the entire apple tree class. And the apple class can be found here. So the apple class stores as a string the size of the apple. So it could be small, it could be medium, or it could be large. Okay? So this is the apple class. And remember, the apple tree class stores a reference to an array list of apple objects. Okay, so let's look at the solution to this problem. This is the tree class. Every tree has a name. This is the apple class. Every apple has a size. And the apple tree class extends tree. Okay, so tree is the superclass and apple tree is the subclass. Now we know that every apple tree stores an array list of apple objects. So let's just call that apples. And our constructor method will look something like this. Remember that an apple tree is a tree and it has a name. So let's take care of that. And it also stores an array list of apples. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the name of the tree and we're going to pass that to the superclass, because we know that the tree class, which is the superclass, will take care of that. Okay? We also know that the apple tree class stores an array list of apples. This is it here. So let's initialize that now. We'll initialize it in the constructor method. Brilliant. So there is our apple tree constructor method. Now then, according to the problem, the apple tree class has an additional method, public int count medium, which returns a count of all medium-sized apple objects in the array list. Public int count medium. Oops. Which is going to count all of the apples in this array list which have a size of medium. Now remember, every apple object has a method called getSize, and we're going to use this to find out if it's a small, a medium, or a large apple. Okay, so we will need to use this apple class method when we're looking at this apple class array list. Okay, so let's create a variable called count, and we're going to loop through the array list of apples. I'm going to use a normal for loop rather than an enhanced for loop. So let's just loop through the entire array list. And we're going to say if apples dot get I dot. Now remember, that is a reference to an apple object, and every apple object has a method called getSize. Do you remember that? And getSize returns a string. So now we can use the string classes equals method. And we're counting mediums. So count plus plus. So when the for loop is finished processing the data, we will return the result. So that is the count medium method. It has another method, public void replace small with medium, which replaces any small apples in the list with medium apples. Okay. Public void replace small with medium. So what I'm going to do this time is, let's just bring this up a bit. We're going to loop through this array list of apples, which is the class variable. Again, I could use an enhanced for loop, but I'm just going to use a normal for loop for this. Now then, if apples.getI, which is a reference to an apple object, every apple object has a getSize method, which returns a string, so now I can use the equals method. Replace small with medium, so if it equals small, if size is equal to small, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a new apple object. Let's not call it new apple, let's just call it A, which has a medium size. I know that I can do that because in the apple class, if you look at the constructor method, that's what I'm doing. I'm constructing a new apple which has a size of medium. So if I find a small apple in this array list, I'm going to create a new apple and then I'm going to set it in the array list using the set method. So at this index here in the array list, I'm going to set my new medium apple, and that will replace the small apple. And that's my solution to replace small with medium.